Hi, this is Scott from Encinitas, my hometown. A little cloudy today, a little foggy, but it's a good day to talk about creativity. Creativity is the most important commodity in business today. If you're more creative, you're more valuable to your client, you're more valuable to your company. I can only think of one person in history that was the most creative, and it's Leonardo da Vinci. And today I'm going to be talking about Leonardo da Vinci and perspective. A few summers ago, I painted in Florence, Italy, in an old studio that had been used for painting for hundreds of years. And we were learning the style of the masters and a method that is said to be created by Leonardo himself. It's called sight size. Now let me explain that to you. Sight size is, if you're doing a portrait, you would move your canvas almost right next to that person that you're painting, and you would step back and you draw a line. Now with that line, you would be able to see by putting you've ever seen this, people putting their thumb out, by your thumb on the paintbrush, the size of the head. Well, that's about the size there, and you'd put a line and a line, and the width, there's the width that go there and there. You go back and forth, getting the exact proportions so that they were right. And you wouldn't just do it at the beginning for the sketch, you do it for the whole painting, making sure that everything was about the right size, getting a new perspective right there on the line. Now, if you wanted to do a full body figure, you take the canvas further back and draw a line, and now where the top of the head was, you would draw in, where the feet were, you'd draw that in, and then you'd go back to that line and paint and fulfill and keep making sure that the proportions and the color was the same. Now, I noticed something while I painted that summer. The better painters were the ones that went back to that line more often, constantly getting that perspective and then going back to their painting. The painters that weren't so good were right up against that canvas, painting, then looking around, painting, then looking around, and then they'd step back, and then they'd look at their painting, and you could see the anxiety come over their face, right? Are you that person? Are you that person that when you're having a problem, that you're so much into that problem, and then when you take a step back to look at, you're kind of confused at what the solution is? I mean, creativity is more than just art. Creativity is a unique solution to problems that we have every day. I was very lucky to work on Madison Avenue with a very talented writer, Karen Salmonson. Today, she's a bestseller, but back then, she was part of my partnership. She was a writer, I was the art director. She tells a very funny story in her TEDx speech, and I'll let her tell it.
So in that same ad agency, I had this wonderful art director named Scott, and Scott used to love to pour me lots and lots of coffee. Not just to keep me energized, but actually, Scott's main purpose was to motivate me to go to the restroom on purpose. Yeah. See, what would happen was I'd go to the restroom and I'd always come back with my most creative ideas. I'd come back from the restroom and I'd go, I cracked the code. I got the tagline, you know. In fact, I came up with some of my best creative ideas so often that Scott and I came up with a name for these epiphanies. We renamed them Epiphanies.
Are you stepping back? Are you getting that perspective that you need? Maybe you need to go out, or maybe you need to go in the bathroom. Let me take you back to that studio. You know, when you're looking at a problem for a long time, you kind of get blinded. You know, I'd step back to that line, and after a while, I knew there was something wrong with the painting, but I couldn't tell what it was. I kept stepping back, but I didn't know what it was. And just then, the master would come from behind you, and he'd take 2 seconds, he'd stand in that line right with you, and he'd say, you know, her chin is too sharp, and the head's in a weird angle. And as soon as he said it, you saw it. And you were able to go in there and fix it. Are you asking the master their opinion? You know, everybody's got opinions, right? But you need to be asking the expert. And finally, the Renaissance was a time of innovation. At that time in Venice, they had discovered a way to make glass super clear and super flat. And someone had put metal on the back of one side and mercury so that when you held it up, it made a perfect reflection, something no one had ever seen before. And it was all the rage. Everybody had to have a mirror. It was put in all the paintings, it was in everybody's home. And Leonardo took that mirror and did something different. The next time that he was painting and doing sight size, he picked up the mirror and he walked to that line and he turned around. And now he held up that mirror and he saw a complete different perspective. So tomorrow, when you wake up and you get in front of that amazing invention of the Renaissance, the mirror, I want you to look at it with a different perspective. I want you to ask yourself, what can I do to be more creative? How can I find unique solutions today? I want you to unleash your inner Da Vinci.